another freaking Warhammer 40k tank. And it's the same thing like the Leman Russ, kinda, a little bit. Hello everybody, my name is Fist of Fury 692 and welcome to another tank review. I mean, I was gonna review finally the Iris Brigade to try to finish off the collection of all the Warhammer tanks I reviewed. And by the way, if you want to know the TeefBreaka and all them, down in the description below for those things. But we're not trying to make this any longer video because this is going to be a lot to talk about. Because this tank has not only one unique wave play style, but two unique play styles. And that's going to be interesting enough as it is. And I do have some problems with it. We'll get to that in a minute. But trust me when I say this. This is going to be a long, probably, video than mostly any other videos, and I'm sorry for that. But for this much content and details, we have to talk about everything that you're getting out of this deal. Everything about this tank. So that way, you will know how to either kill it, how to maneuver it, and how to, which playstyle you want. Because this thing has some interesting things we'll talk about. So, let's grab our boys here, and let's get started. Alright, so here she's an... Oh, Jesus. This thing, just to let you know, audience, this is the zoomed out far you can go. See, if I click one more, I zoom in. You can kind of tell how big this tank's going to be if a Space Marine down there is, like, a little bit smaller to the tank. That's saying something. But before we rip this part of the tank, I know this is going to be a long video, but I just want to look at the art detail, and my god, War-K Universe never ceases to amaze me how beautiful they are. I mean, the side guns, the mini gun that's placed in the middle, I think those are flamethrowers or actual more guns in the front than the side gun. You got basically it looks like the M60 version of War-K's machine gun on top. I know it's their gun, and mostly their bullets could probably rip through a light tank in a tier 4 game if it is the actual like War-K scenario. And it's so beautiful to look at. I mean, that's the only thing that pains me when we're talking about it. Now, don't get me wrong, we'll get to those in a minute, but I'm just saying, like, for how much that it is very beautiful, but it's just, we'll rip that off in a minute. So, this is the tank that we see in the store. Now, before, like, other thing we talk about the tank itself as well, yeah, I got the bundle deal of this thing. Now it's down to 19 something. This is going to go down very lowly when it gets to the maxed out of the event we're doing. And what do you mean by the event? Well, if we go back real quick, if for those who don't play tanks right now, there's an event going on for if we get 17,500,000, we get the lowest, like, pretty much decreased price of the tank right here. But unfortunately, I had to get it on day one because basically, one, the crates made it easier. It was extremely cheap for me to do it when I get same tanks out of every other tanks. But it also to give you guys an enlightenment if you want to get this tank. And trust me, it's a lot of problem. And I do have some problems with it, but the other problem I wanted to say too is the 3D commanders. It's the same two again. So let me get this straight, Wargaming, before I have a hernia over my head. You had plenty of time with this 4K thing, right? So you have the same old stuff coming back, and you give two new free tanks to people. The pretty much the light tank and the TeefBreaka, which I would say both light tank, the Bat Chat and the other one. And not only would you not give us a choice with the third one, which I don't know if they will yet. We're still in the beginning of all this. And you don't even make more commanders. There is a library of chapters in this game, Wargaming. You're talking about, the War-K universe. These guys, the orcs, them. I don't have the chaos and all them, but you get my point. You got the whole entire faction, the whole entire community of different color of orcs, people, and I was disappointed last year with the whole not having an orc commander. What is wrong with this, Wargaming? You tell me, what is wrong with this? You can't have an orc commander? Well, the Warships has that. It's Ship Smash, and he even has the voice. Like, seriously, Wargaming, stop being lazy and put these guys into the game and actually give them voices. God damn it. Yeah, like if they put an orc one in here, it would fit perfectly for this, or a chaos one. It's not like they don't have the resources to do it, they're just lazy. And it just saddens me when I see like the chaos tank and the the orc tank. But all that aside, I just wanted to say that. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to get that out of the way. Let's now talk about the tank. Now there's going to be a lot to say about this tank. So first and foremost, let us go to the armaments real quick. So here is the armaments of the tank. Now I do have some unique problem with the tank. First and foremost, let's talk about the major one that we already see right now is the underbelly. The underbelly is only 180 millimeters. Now you would think with an angle, it does block some AP and APCR if you angle it just right. But the problem is with the track armor, if you angle too much like this, your track's armaments there is exposed. Now, granted, yes, the tracks itself has some spatial armaments between you and the tank itself, as you can see right here. But the problem is, it's just one of those things where it doesn't matter for spatial armaments because you're in a tier 10 game. So most armor piercing shells are going to pen that unless you angle it properly like this, which gives it more of a better reduced chance. But you're exposing still your underbelly because it's not that great. Because remember, tier 10s usually pen up to 280 or 260 average, or pretty much like beyond that a little bit. Like the Nemesis does like 310 millimeters, so that's going to be a problem. So that's a major, major issue. The other is the upper plate of the whole armor, which I have to point out right here. That little square box you see right there? Yeah, that's a major weak spot too, because even though it's 300 millimeters, as you can see by me turning the tank, if you could look at it closely, it's flat. Like it's a small square box flat. So if you see this, let's go to thing real quick. If you see this viewport here, you have a good chance of penning it if you have 310 millimeters of pen because, again, it's flat. So you could probably pen through that, which is another huge problem. And no, the minigun is not a weak spot, so shooting at the minigun won't count. I've already tested it with friends. Look, see, it's gone. See, like there's the armaments there, and then when you look at the minigun, yeah, it's just cosmetic look design. It's not like meant to be there. So keep that in mind. So the other major problem I have is obviously the skirts. We already talked about it. Even though it has spatial armaments, it still could be penned if you over angle it. So keep that in mind if you're trying to angle it, but you need to angle it because of how bad the frontal armor is. Now, the other major, major problem that I think what hurts this tank the most is its commander's hatch. Not the one on this side. This side is more flat, so it's more capable of blocking shells more better. It's the big one on the left side. So if you're looking at this tank head on, it's the left side. If you're pretty much driving the tank, it's the commander's hatch on your right side. This sticks out like a sore thumb to people, and it sucks because most tier 10s can pen up to 150 no problem. If they hit right in the dead center with their guns, it's going to pen through it, which is going to be a huge problem. Now, granted, if you're a bigger tank than the small one, say like it's a small tank and they're trying to hit that commander's hatch, like if they're all the way down here, yeah, you're not going to be able to hit it that easily. But if you're like, say, even with a tank like Type 5 heavies and all that, you could just shoot the commander's hatch and it could pretty much kill the tank, which is a huge problem for survivability. So, granted, this tank is not in frontline aggression like the Leman Russ. It is more a support role heavy, mostly like stay at mid range or long range. That's usually how these tanks work. So yeah, that's pretty much the armaments I gotta say. Not really much of anything else. Just basic thing. Their armaments, I like their ammo place in the tank is actually well safe. I mean, unless you expose the side of your tank, it's still hard to ammo rack this thing. Setting it on fire is at 15, but it's not too bad. Most of your crew, besides the driver, are inside the commander's turret, so it's not like that. So shooting at its underbelly and stuff is not going to kill a commander unless it's like a igniting explosive or shrapnel that harms it. So we'll get to all this in a minute, but I just wanted to say that's pretty much it for the survivability. Now, however, we are talking about something unique, and we're going to start off with the guns. And, oh, wait a minute. Where's the selection of the gun? Hang on, folks. So, where do you... Hey, Wargaming, I read the report saying it's supposed to change their gun, so where... Oh, it's in the turret area? It's in the turret section? Why? It's... When you switch out a gun, you go to the gun, and you switch it out there. If you didn't know to check every single slot when you get a premium tank, you wouldn't know how to switch it then. It's just like, they just like switch it around. I mean, it's just a little thing, don't get me wrong, but it freaking pisses me off knowing that I had to check for every single slot because I was going nuts thinking, where the hell is the gun? I mean, seriously, Wargaming, stop messing with the formula, dumbasses. Yeah, that is a bunch of bullpucky. So we're going to talk about the first package thing, which doesn't change none of your stats. As you can see here with your gun and stuff, it does not change anything besides how you play this tank. So let's back out and let's talk about the big caliber gun first. Now, the big caliber gun, obviously, we don't even know what millimeter gun this is, but we could try to take a guess. So if we look on the stats paper, this does like 700 damage. If it does 700 damage, I'm going to assume this is a 130. I mean, that's close enough I could say about it. I mean, yeah, people could say maybe it's close to a 155. Who knows? But to me, it feels like a 130 when you use it. So I'm just going to say that for the type of gun. So firing rate, 4.37. This thing has a long reload. It's like 11 point something reload for me to blow it down as the max it can go. So it's not bad. Like, the reloading I didn't find a problem with. It's the type of how you use it. The dispersion and aim time is sluggish, very sluggish. So you have to like sit there and aim. So if you don't like that type of play style, you're not going to like this gun because you're going to have to sit there and aim for a few minutes before firing. You can't just fire willy-nilly because of how bad the dispersion, aim time a little bit is a little sluggish. So you're not going to like that too much. Now, accuracy at 100 meters is 0.33. Now, like I said, it's okay at sniping, but it's got a major problem once we get to it. Because if you notice on the chart itself, and I have seen this in game, it is 245 millimeters of pen. Now, for that, that's not bad, except for the fact it's 100 meters. How slow your tank is, it is very hard to get to the front lines to use the maxed out pen of that. So we're going to look at the 500 meters, which is usually 90% of the do, and that's 336. Yikes. That's a little bit below average in a tier 10. Now, mind you, when I go back and look at this, when I reviewed the Leman Russ, if you want to look in the description below, this is like, I'll put all the War K tanks I have reviewed in the description below. This, like, also has 232. Now, granted, yes, if it snipes at so many range, it does 228. But that's not, like, far off of what this new tier 10 does. And I complained about its standard rounds having a hard time penning heavy tanks. And I'm not saying I want a broken tank. I really do not. I do not want, like, a god among tanks, broken gun. I just wanted balance. Like maybe 250 or 240. Not 236. That's like almost tier 8's pen with its standard rounded up 100 meters. That's not a good sign. Now, don't get me wrong. If you like that kind of thing, fine. But to me, personally, I want a gun that at least has 240 or 250 almost to fight against tier 10s. At least the bare minimum. But still. So, that's a problem right there. Ammo type, which is AP, which is what we're looking at now. APCR, we'll get to that in a minute. And heat, we'll get to those in a minute. But ammo capacity is 40. So this thing holds like decent ammo. It doesn't like Like, you can almost kill the entire team with it, but you run out of ammo very quick if you're the last one alive and you're doing everything. So keep that in mind. This is not a tank that does, like, last stands, like, very easily with all its ammunition. If you hit every shot, great. You could do, like, tremendous amount of, like, damage to a tank, but still, it's, like, just be careful where your shot's going. Now, this has unique thing, which we're going to talk heavily about these guns that you saw between the other barrel and this. This one has a secondary gun. So, for those who don't know, if you want to know this quick, it's like secondary gun, like it's when you fire your little pea shooter on the side of your tank. So, we're looking at this one above it. So, I'm going to guess since the pen is still not bad, but not good either, I'm going to say it's like a derp little 75 or something, or 7.5 for those that do mathematics. It's like, I think it's that type of gun, because even though it does like a good pen, it's like a KV2's kind of pen kind of way. So I would say around that type of area. But firing rate 6.94. Now, for those who don't know, for this little gun, this is a 4-clip autoloader. Yeah, this is a 4-clip autoloader, which means you can fire 4 shots before doing a long reload. I know. What are you doing? Get out of here.
Hey, come back! Hey, come back! Hey, get back here! No! You're the monster! You don't get to run away!
And yeah, it's one of those types of things that are good to taking out, little tanks. In fact, there's so many times where I took out little baby tanks really quick by just firing my primary gun and then firing my little pea shooter. Yeah. So, pretty much accuracy 0.33. Now I want to show you something that's very interesting. Both guns are the same accuracy. So if you're really good at accurate shooting with the main gun, you are very good and accurate to shoot with the little gun, which I find that very interesting. But the pens and damages are different. This does 240. I usually do like 190 with it. And for the big gun, I forgot to say it's 700, but it's like I usually do like 650, like an average roll with it. But here it's like I would do like 190, even though it's 204. So penetration at 100 meters, which a lot of times you're going to be using this when they get too close to you, is 182. That's not bad. I will say this about all the tanks in the game that has little pea shooters. This one is actually useful. You shoot this at any medium side tanks or light armor tanks, and it will harm them pretty bad, which is a great way to add a secondary gun that actually is useful. It's not like a meme where you just track people and then just shoot them with your primary gun. No, this one actually you can harm them along with the main cannon. There you go. You're all good. Ow. Premium spamming, motherfucker. Pretty much. But 500 meters is 172, which, again, you don't want to really snipe with that type of firepower unless it's a very, very light armor tank that you can hit. Now, ammunition, AP, and then heat. Like AP you're seeing right now, heat, we'll talk about that in a minute. So ammo capacity is 60. So you get a lot more shells in this, but that's because you fire 4. Alright, so I'm just going to also talk about these stuff real quick. Now, head rotation turret is not bad. It's like very decently head rotating, pretty okay. It's not like the greatest. However, though, its depression is really bad. The gun depression is really bad if anyone is small enough sneaking side you. Meaning if a tank is on your side and it's like to say like an object tank, those medium flat pancakes I usually call them. If they get on your side, your main gun is going to have a hard time hitting down. Yeah. And then health is 2,800, which is a standard good chunk of health. It is like almost close to the mouse's health. So it's got some decent health. Now, viewing range, I can't really tell you that because viewing range, I modified it. So, like what you're seeing here is a 10 per, 9 per crew as usual, ventilations and, binoculars and pretty much consumable. And it's still pretty sluggish to see anything. But I do that because I don't trust my team sometimes, so I have to use my own eyes, and then it's very hard to like communicate with people. So that being said, now the engine, you're going to hate this tank because it's really, really slow. So keep that in mind that 90% of the time you're going to be sniping. And if you need to make a quick getaway in this tank, you might as well drive forward than backwards because reverse speed is only 12. That's a huge problem if you're trying to back up. So keep this in mind for anyone who has this tank. If you have this tank and you need to plan an escape route, make sure you plan it out. Because if you don't, then you're going to get your legs between your, crossing between your legs, and you're going to be getting killed if you do not plan how to escape. Not plan to, okay, if someone can pen me, where can I go to take cover? Usually, like I said, just go forward because if you go backwards, you're going slower. So keep that in mind. So it's got some good weight ratio and a chance of fire 15. Now, rarely I don't see this tank being set on fire unless it's a very big howitzer that hits the back part of your tank. But again, usually people that face this tank are usually a head-on with it. But even when they shoot it a lot, I rarely don't see this tank getting set on fire unless it's a big, huge HE maybe, but or pretty much heat. But I rarely don't see that. So that being said for that, now for the tracks itself, you got the whole rotating speed 18, so this thing has a hard time pushing through terrain. So keep in mind, if you're in a muddy terrain like this clip where I'm trying to save my buddies from destruction, yeah, you're going to have a hard time climbing hills and stuff. Here it goes. God damn it, but everybody stop. I leave 1 second to help Ocean, and this is what I get. Everybody's just dying. Did anyone think so? Yeah. Yeah. So keep that in mind as well. Now, for the last part is the radio, which does 1,000 on, 96.1. So this thing has like a German radio, which means like if you have an ally that spots you, you can see that far of the tank as well and able to snipe beyond your viewing range. But unfortunately, though, like I said, I don't trust my own allies sometimes. You know how anyone who plays World of Tanks will know that they can't trust their allies all the time. So yeah, it's very complicated. So if you're with a buddy and they spot for you, it's not a bad tank to have to pretty much shoot from that long range. Like I said, the standard pen, it's not that greatest, but it's better than nothing when if you have no choice. Alright, so now let's talk about its ammunition. And this is going to be a huge sword throat because I'm going to be talking about both guns. Now, we already talked about the AP and all its things, so its max speed is 945. That's not bad for the type. It's 1,680 a shell. It's a little costly, but it's better than nothing. So I would say that's perfectly fine. I don't mind you using this type of ammunition because, again, the standard round is not that bad. It's just the problem is when you get to the super heavies.
No. Wait.
Which is what you're going to need this. So if you go up against a Type 5, a Mouse, or a Jagdpanzer E100, you're going to need this round because it is APCR. Penetration at 100 meters is 332. But what fixes it at 500 meters is 294. That is like greatest pen you can do on this tank. And as much as I don't like putting premium rounds in a premium tank, I usually like to fight with the standard ammunition first to prove to people that it's not a bad tank. It's just the problem is I can see why you need this type of ammunition. because if you go up against Japanese Type 5 heavies head-on, if you need to go against a mouse or Jagdpanzer Z100, you're going to need that type of shell in order to have a fighting chance. But the problem is, it's 6,000 credits for one shell. Yikes. This is why I don't like playing tier 10s, because they don't make money. They don't have money earnings, and yet they charge an arm and a leg for these shells. Ugh. So, yeah, damage is the same as that one. I averaged, 650. So the speed is 1015. So if anyone's trying to aim in and try to shoot down someone, you gotta aim a little bit less if they're speedy really fast, because the shells go really fast than the 100 more than the AP. And the last one is one I don't really pack in this, is the AG, which is basically penetration at 100 meters is 85, and the same thing for the 500 meters. Now damage does like 890. I rarely don't use this. I have tested it out in proving grounds, or I would say AI testing, to see if it works on a light tank. It does barely, but it's got to be like light armor, like a German Leopard. If it has any angle armor, the round just sucks. I even shot an arty with it. It sometimes does not pen the full thing, so I just gave up using the AG and just went back to using AP and APCR. It's a better choice, in my opinion. But the damage and all that, and then you got the ammo's max speed. 200 is pretty much 820, so very less. Blast radius is pretty good. I mean, for a blast radius, it is 3.56. So if you need to do module damage and you have this tank can do it. It just has a hard time penning. So keep that in mind. If you got a tank that can do a lot of splash damage like that, chances are you're going to hurt someone pretty good. So I will admit that it's not too bad, but still. Alright, so I'm going to take this out of the battlefield with my friend Ocean and show you off this type of tank. Okay, so let's talk about the long barrel. Obviously, as I already mentioned, it is freaking terrifying. And the fact is, I still don't like the fact that you use the gun and then it's basically like, oh, you gotta switch it through the main turret. If I wasn't looking around, I wouldn't know that this gun was a changeable thing. So I don't know why they still had to change it through the turret system. In other words, like, I also find it weird that we brought in another, forgive me if I don't say it right, Adette Astarte, or forgive me for me not knowing that. But yeah, it's weird that we get another one of this. Now, I really wish they would have fixed, the Space Marine tank, so that way I can enjoy the, the Space Marine. So I want to, like, see another version of that, but apparently, nope, we didn't get that choice. So you can see in the game, though, I'm going to use the armor and the gun more effectively. I'm sorry that you don't hear nothing in the background, because, again, I had to mute the sound because I forgot. I forgot to, like, take the audio off when I was recording, but it was a good example to show how good it was in these clips I had, and I did not want to go back and, do it all over again to try to find, like, a decent game to show off the playstyle. But that's not usually the point. You want to see, like, its capabilities, which you're seeing right now. And honestly, like I said, I think the main gun is not bad. It's decent. The whole armor may be a little bit bad, but if you see me angling like this, besides the couple of pens that happen to me, it's not too bad at blocking shells. It really isn't. But unfortunately, though, it's just the gun pen I don't really like. It's when you go up against super heavy tanks like the Mouse and the Type 5 Heavy and all of them, you have to load premium, which defeats the whole purpose of enjoying some of the tank. But I will say this. It's a little bit better than the Leman Russ when it comes to penning stuff. The Leman Russ, like, I had a horrible time with. Like, I couldn't even pen some mediums without, loading APCR to pen a lot of the tanks. And that's not fun when you have to load nothing but prem to kill even a basic medium. But here, it's got a little bit more oomph to the pen, so I will say this. But now for the Commander's Hatch part, like I said, like that, but it's really difficult to keep this tank alive sometimes. It's one of those tanks that is really, really hard to keep alive unless you don't know how to kill it. If you don't know how to kill it, and it's an amazing tank. But once people do, it's going to be one of those tanks that it's going to be extremely hard to play. Because unlike the Leman Russ has a flatter commander's hatch. Yes, it's got weakness below the side cheeks and stuff like that, and the main armament stuff, but at least if you hold down properly a little bit better and look at the target head on, you can actually block more shells than this tank does. And that's pretty sad for something that big. It's like you got to be really careful with. Also, I'm very disappointed that we can't use any of the guns on the tank besides, like, the secondary little gun. I would have loved to see, like, the minigun fire off. I would love to see all the other guns fire off and actually do something. Yeah, they won't do anything against, heavily armored mediums and heavy tanks. It seems that small calibers do it. But I would love to see it do something. Or maybe turn them into flamethrowers. Like, have, like, all the 4 barrels in the front being flamethrowers that are all locked in and you can't move them. But if anyone comes dumb enough to charge you head on, you can just burn them out like heresy, like burn the heretics. But no, unfortunately, it doesn't do that, and it just makes me sad that it doesn't do that. Also, I also find it funny that it also has some sort of smoke screen kind of set up on the sides. Like, I've noticed that on the Leman Russ as well, that I didn't mention it the last time. It's like, I would love to see that fire off and just, like, do smokes, but then again, this would have to be a Cold War tank. So, nothing unusual for there, I guess. But still, I don't think this is a bad choice. If you choose a sniper gun, it's really not bad. I think it's really capable. Now, for everything else, you will hate the speed on this tank. You will hate the goddamn speed on this. So keep that in mind. If you just don't like slow moving tanks, you're gonna hate this. Now, since we still got a little bit more time before we do the next part, so what do I think about grinding it down to the lowest thing? I think you should do that. I really think so, because it is one of those tanks that it is not bad to get in your garage. It's just, do not let it, like, don't buy it the full price like I did. I had to review this thing. So don't be like me that get, like, that much gold just to buy a tank like this. Because honestly, I don't think it's worth it. Matter of fact, I think it should be worth 8,000. Because even though, yes, it's got changing module guns, it's got all this, but it's just horrible survivability if you know how to kill it. And since now I just taught you how to kill this tank in this video, you could kill this tank easily now. But I'm just saying, it's just painful to watch. Alright, this battle's almost over, so I know it's going to be a silent one a little bit, but hopefully in the next video I'll talk quickly about the next gun and pretty much probably play some music. Yeah, I'll probably do that to make it more enlightenment thing to it, to get a little kick back and relax, because honestly, it's not much to talk about the little gun, but we'll see you then. Now that we just talked about the main gun, like the main big gun, let's talk about its other package that you could select, the little guns. Which, to be fair, I think these guns are the most scariest. Why you say that? Well, let's just rip them out and see right to it to show you. Now, obviously, it switches to the main only gun. So, basically, these guns fire simultaneously or fire one at a time. So this is like the Soviet Object Black version that I reviewed a long time ago. That basically it has a choice between firing one gun or firing both at the same time, which is a deadliest combo. Now you're probably going to say, Fury, what's so broken about that? Yeah, it can be very broken in tight situations when you're being ambushed. I mean, take this clip for example. When these guys were pushing and I pushed with them, you could see how this gun quickly could turn on an enemy really quick if you don't be mindful of it. Oh, Jesus.
Yo! Yes! Yo! You are...
Yeah, no, and I won't be for long because I'm facing a guy times 3100 and someone's got me permanent track. Yep, I'm not gonna be able to move. Great. The track is now operating normally.
Oh, no! Oh, run! Run! I'm coming for you!
No, but it doesn't matter.
Oh,
Oh, fuck you! Fuck you! Thank you. Yeah, this thing can be a powerhouse pretty much hitter. Now, don't get me wrong, the long barrel is a good choice for pretty much for mid-range, but if you want to go a little bit personal or a little bit close range, like if you're stuck on Himmelsdorf, then yeah, this would be the gun to pick for, close range buddies. So if you got a buddies with you that changes like their loadout, like say for example, I'm gonna go front line and pick this tank, then you could pick this tank still and pick the guns. If you're gonna have a friend that snipes, pick the other one we just reviewed. So, firing rate. It is pretty much 5.27. Now, granted, yes, the firing rate for the lowest I got is 11-second reload for pretty much two of the same guns. So if you fire both of them, you got pretty much a 22-second reload for loading both of them and 11 seconds for this. Now this is for me, like again, I will show you, using combat rigs, advanced loading, and ventilations, and a 9 per crew involving all the perks of reloading. That's the only way it gets down that low. So, accuracy, 0.33. Same accuracy problem that I just mentioned is the same accuracy on this tank. So if you're okay dealing with a gun that acts like a smaller version of the 130s, I would say that. I would say that you change it to the E100 pen because it's like damage is 500. Now, I usually do like 450 or 490 depending on what tank. I really don't pen up to 500 easily. But penetration at 100 meters is 232, which is, again, kind of sometimes you're going to do a lot since these guns are not, like, very controllable at long range. And then penetration at 500 meters is 229. So, yeah, your pen goes down to the Leman Russ's pen style. So, it's best to get as, like, close to 4 or 300 meters from a target and shoot them. You do not want to be thinking. But that's the problem with this switching out the guns. For switching out a sniper gun to a brawling gun and only going 30, it makes it harder to get to the front lines too. Now, you could probably argue and say, like, well, Fury, if I do that, then I'll just change my consumables to have the enhanced fuel bonus to make me go, like, more faster with my max speed. And never mind the reloading you says, because I could tolerate it, but I could just put in all the equipment for, reload, engines and advanced horse power train, do things like that and make my tank go up to, like, so far. Now, I have tested that, and yes, it does make it slightly go faster. But however, when you get up there, I'd rather have the reloading than the actual gun, because the reloading could save your life too if you get up close and personal. So it's really your choice to see which ones you feel more comfortable with. But back to the topic. So ammunition type, AP, APCR, and heat, and the ammo capacity of 30. So let's not waste any time. Let's now talk about its ammunition cost. Now, obviously it's going to be less because it's a shorter barrel, but keep this in mind for anyone who remembers my black tank review of the double barrels, like the same thing with this. You need to times it by 2 if you're going to fire both of them at the same time. So keep that in mind. Just whatever you see here, times it by 2, and there you go. It's more than the long barrel. But let's get down to brax and taxes. So basically, we already talked about this. Speed, 830. This round you want to keep a lot of because it's AP. It's not too bad, it's not great, but it's not bad at all for a lot of tanks. So, keep that in mind for this type of shell, that you want to pack as majority of this. Now, what I pack in both these guns, usually both have their own unique ammo, which you see by switching weapons. They're kind of like the same thing. I only pack 8 for each barrel. Why? Well, again, 4,800 credits, times that by 2, and you'll see what I mean. So, penetration at 100 meters is basically 304. So, very, very close range, and it pens up pretty good. But long range for 500 meters, 294. This is a round I pick for, like, if you have no choice to snipe at a heavily armored tank, or you're up against a very heavily armored tank. Like, again, Type 5, Mouse, all of them, can't be pen easily by the standard round. But at that point, usually 9 times out of 10, I'll pick this gun for brawling and try to get it close as possible, so rarely I don't use them unless I see something really nasty in front of me. Now, everything else is the same except for the speed. It's pretty much 100 more, just same AP as the first gun we just talked about. Now for HE, which I don't pack anything again, because it is the same problem as the other one. Basically, 100 meters and 500 meters is only 850. Damage is pretty much like 650. I think it says 650. Yeah, 650. Sorry, my eyes are a little bit going. And then max speed is reduced heavily to 787. And the blast radius is 2.56, which is a little bit less than the other one. But you get my point. I don't pack any of them. I tested this out as well, and it did not work out as well. So now that we said all that, we don't need to talk about anything else because it's the same thing as the other one. Nothing else has changed besides how you fight with it. So let's show it in game. So the double barrel gun. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to be saying not much in this part of the video, so I will throw in some music after I'm done talking about this because this is going to be 15 minutes because it took a long time and you'll see why. And the first point you're going to see in this video is the viewing range really does suck against TDs. Like, you'll see that at the end. It is very hard to see at far range, and it's very hard to get a good spotting thing on it. Now, for the double barrel itself, they're extremely terrifying. So don't diss it because like the less pen they do and stuff like that. I just showed you. If you play it right and use each shell for each target like that, it becomes terrifying. It becomes like like back in the old days, the waffle trigger off T100. You don't have 6 clips of it, but you have like a good chunk of damage to a target. So keep that in mind. And the ability to fire them both at the same time, then if you hit both of them, it almost goes to 1,000 damage easily. So yeah, it's pretty terrifying. So that being said, what else do I think? I don't think you should go really aggressive with it. I know I said you should because of the less pen it does, but it's like, to me, I don't think you should because of the weak commander's hatch you have and some of the weakness on the whole armor of your tank. It becomes very, very difficult to keep this tank alive at close range. Mid-range is the best way to play these types of tanks, and it goes for the small barrels as well. So yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it besides I found the guns pretty fun. I don't like its pen though. I will say this real quick. I don't like its pen, but it makes sense because you're shooting double barrel. It'd be broken if you could pen and lash it. But to me personally, I just think that for a tier 10, I don't want people to spam premium out of them because, again, I know a lot of people will do that anyways, but I like a tank that's balanced too. Like, have a gun decent. And it does do decent damage when it hits and when you aim at stuff, but I don't know. It's just, to me, I feel like it's a little sluggish, but you'll see in the video that it's not really, because I can still pen stuff, but still. It's still a little bit So, I guess I'll see you guys back at the garage. Listen to some nice music here that I'll pick for you, and well, I'll see you then for the. Oh, I boom! Reloading. Long ass reload after firing double shots. Yeah, what is that? Oh, 62 feet, and you bouncing motherfuckers. See, that's the scary part. It's like, I'm scared to sit still to fight these enemies. Because the problem is, if I sit still, they're going to take my command change. And I'm doing horrible. Now I got a perfect clip of saying, like, whatever you do not run past the double demons. I know you don't see them, but here's this poor soldier that's not going to show that machine gun. And then I'm going to put in a do. not come this way. Yeah, do not come out. Do not come out. No, fields too. Alright, no. I guess we're taking the long way around. Oh, why did that SU do that? Not with all the snipers.
By the way of the death we shall move them.
Oh, the Strix went over here too. Oh, hello. Hello, Mario.
One of your turrets is damaged.
Sorry. I know if you need me to get out of the way. You're fine. Okay. Is this how you're supposed to block shit? This angle like this? Wait, they're shooting me. They're not pinning me. I'm broadside. Wait. This is a heavy tank. 62 feet. No, no, they can.
The shot was ineffective. You failed to penetrate their armor.
I'm reloading. Oh wait, is that tank gonna sneak in the building and try to shoot? There is that opening there. I got him. I didn't want you to die. Well, I didn't know if he would turn on or not. I just barely got his, like, hold on. I'm sorry.
The enemy's equipment begins to fail them.
Sorry.
Focus on this area.
fucking Quran. That fucking TV. You know what? Break off. There's no point of fighting this. If you can't see it, you might as well make sure it comes to us. That's why I'm trying to get back to the city and try to get out of that TV's way and try to get over there and help him. It's honestly, like, if we're just going to be stuck here and we're going to be outspotted by a TV that can one-shot us, it's best to get the fuck out of there. What's the other TV? Recon. So literally, it's the bad chat trying to stop people. Or don't do it. Yeah, because none of us don't have the eyes. None of us do. Yeah, but the weapon can get spotted already. I mean, he's not died of those 2 hits. Whenever I see him find a deep shot, and rest of nothing. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to go for. Alright, I'm coming back and I'll get on. It's okay, but I want some people like an hour to do because it's so much fun. I'm done open. It's close to me. That's still going to be an hour. I'm going to go this way and try to see if I can get on spotted and I see that. They're all sitting in the bag. It's the problem. Yeah. I didn't know if you could pen them or not.
So what do I think about this tank? Well, let's recap. So how do I rate this tank? So a well-diverse, different choices of play style of how to play the tank. Tank has many problems, and it does reduce it down quite a bit in gold later on. Can has an easier, hard time to see. You will be spotted before you even think. Even with the camouflage I have on this tank, you will be spotted a lot in this tank. So, I'm just going to sum it up in all one review. I'm not going to just review the basic of every gun and stuff because your unique playstyle like that is your choice. I don't see major differences besides the unique playstyle of the tank. So, for the tank itself, for in all total, to be honest with you, I have to give it a verdict out of a 6 out of 10. It's fun. It really is fun. And I like the whole war K scenario of tanks. But I don't like the fact that it has many problems with it to where it's going to be a handicap to you. Speed is slow. Weaknesses, if a veteran knows how to kill it, will be very easily could kill this tank. And the fact is also it's a big tank. I don't like big tanks anymore. You would think me being German that likes like the E100, the mouse and stuff, but I don't like big targets anymore. It so easily could be penned by arties or you easily. That's another problem with this tank. It's easily an arty magnet if you don't be careful. Turning on any ground besides soft terrain is a nightmare with this tank. So you got to sacrifice perks if you want clutch breaking, but at the same time you're sacrificing another perks to help you out survive in a different area. It's a tank that really needs maintenance fix too, so you're going to need to sacrifice which ones you want to use for a play style. But besides that, I don't see any other things. I think it's fun when you play it in AI or standard. I think it's okay tank. It's just don't like expect it to be like the Leman Russ, which when that first came out, it was so hard to pen it that literally you could easily block like so many thousands in a game. No. And even though I like the Leman Russ, even though it's tiny and this one's bigger, bigger isn't everything, but the type of guns makes it up if you know how to pen with those guns. So it's got an average thing to it. So that's why I give it a 6 out of 10. Well, I hope this tank helped you out a lot, guys. I hope it knows how to kill it and also what fears of what gun it is and also how to play it. So, thank you all so much for joining me, and I hope you guys pick your free tank that you work on your op. Either it's the Ingus Brigade or the TeefBreaka. And I hope you guys pick it soon because it might not be there for a while. So go ahead, pick the Imperial side like I did and be the Emperor's might or be the orcish commander and pretty much choose those tanks. Whatever you pick, you decide, my friend. Until then, comrades, I will see you in the next video. You ungrateful heretic. War!